the more people felt connected to John Paul II, the Polish Pope, in general, from my experience, the nicer they were, the more respect they had towards Jews. They all knew that John Paul II had apologized to the Jewish nation for 2,000 years of Christian anti-Semitism, and that John Paul II had been the first pope to ever go to a synagogue, that he coined the expression, our older brothers in faith, and so on. And Wrocław is the pinnacle, of that. I mean, again, in Wrocław, I was beyond shocked to see, well, first of all, to see the neighborhood where the synagogue was, where there's a Catholic church and a Protestant church, Russian Orthodox church, and where the neighborhood is called the neighborhood of mutual respect between four denominations, four religions, if you will. That was amazing. And then it was even more amazing that people of great stature, within the Catholic Church, within the hierarchy, were so respectful. One of the main pinnacles is when Father and Professor Roshik of the Wrocław Theological Seminary, the headmaster, I believe, came to me and asked me to teach, to give classes to his, I don't know what it's called in English, but people who are studying to become priests, Catholic priests. He wanted me to teach that which, to explain to them what Judaism is really and not what they think it is. And I remember at some point, I remember actually asking him, I said, "You really want me to teach that?" Because basically what he wanted me to teach was that as far as Judaism was concerned, the word holy totally does not mean what Christianity, for instance, says that it means. It means something completely different. And etc., etc. He wanted me to teach them all the things that were completely different, which, at first glance you could say, it's the same, because it's the same word, Old Testament, New Testament, who cares, right? But Professor Roshik, who had also studied at Hebrew University, he acknowledged and accepted, respected at least these very fundamental differences, and wanted me to teach it to his students. But I remember from those few classes, there were not so many classes, but I remember that I didn't only get nice looks, but I understand. Basically, I was saying that what their religion was saying about my religion, because essentially Christianity considers itself, certainly throughout many centuries considered itself as the replacement of Judaism, or as the better version of, or something like that. And here I come and say that, guys, actually you got this concept wrong, that concept wrong, this concept wrong. Why should they be so happy? And then he came to me and said, let's write a book. And I remember that I was very shocked. I thought about it. And I said that my only demand is that I am allowed to write whatever I want to write. And I wrote. He wrote his part. I wrote my part. Now the book received. That was a shock, even for some representatives of the Catholic Church that I knew. They were in shock that the book got an imprimatur, which is basically the kosher stamp of the Catholic Church. That this is, this is kosher in terms of Catholic theology. Well, my part isn't. To the extent that my part is just Jewish, and even beyond that, Archbishop Gołębiewski in Wrocław has a TV interview in which he calls me Nasz Rabbi, our rabbi. And I remember the nun who was from local Wrocław, local Wrocław order. She was very, Sister Sibylla. She was very. She was a very big part of the organization about this, and I remember she was like struck, you know, that the Archbishop said our Rabbi, you know, but you know, but he was, and I'm sure still is, you know, a wonderful person, wonderful man. I remember that Mr. Ringel, of blessed memory, who was the head of the Jewish community in Wrocław at some point, who is now dead unfortunately, he, when there were anti-Semitic occurrences in Wrocław, I mean this is years before I was there, and there were some stone throwings on the synagogue, some windows were broken and so on, that he had gone to the then Archbishop, who was Gulbinovich, today Cardinal Gulbinovich. He went to the then Archbishop Gulbinovich and asked for help. And the Archbishop at the time, Gulbinovich, went up on the, you know, on the, I don't know what it's called, where they preach in the main church in Wrocław, and said that anti-Semitism is a sin, and he who does anti-Semitism will not receive absolution. Now that's a very big thing for an archbishop to say, you know. And as Mr. Ringel said, immediately it stopped. I mean, like from that speech that the archbishop had held, that's it. Was, you know, because before, I'm sure, you know, they tried, they spoke to, you know, whatever, but from that speech on, that was it. So you know, I mean, it just shows that the Catholic Church has still a lot of influence, and you know, if it's used in a good way, then that's wonderful.